Have you ever stopped and wondered who or what really determines your life? The universe has led you to this moment, where you can deal with one of the most profound questions that has ever preoccupied humanity: who has true control over your life, your body or your mind? This question is as old as thinking itself and has inspired and challenged the greatest minds in history. In philosophy, we find numerous answers, but no definitive solution. For the ancient Greek thinkers, the body was often a boundary that held the free mind captive. Plato, for example, regarded the body as a shadow, as a limit of the pure, immortal spirit, which he considered the true self. In his eyes, life was a journey of the mind, who should overcome the needs and limits of the body. But Aristotle, his student, saw it differently. He believed in the unity of body and mind and emphasized that life is perfect only in the harmonious combination of these two aspects. Centuries later, Descartes, the father of modern rationalism, shifted the focus again. "I think, so I am," he explained, separating body and mind from each other. For him, consciousness, thinking, was the core of the self, the body was only the shell. But this separation has taken us to a world where we often wonder if the body is our prison or our instrument. Why is it so important to understand the dynamics between body and mind? Because it forms the foundation of our decisions, our health, and our being. Our thinking and beliefs influence how we perceive, care for, and treat our body, while the experiences of our body in turn shape our mental perspective. Only when we understand the interplay do we realize how body and mind can influence and ultimately liberate each other. Now we come to an exciting part of our journey. In the next chapter we will explore how the body acts as the basis of consciousness and how it anchors us more deeply in reality and in the experience of the present moment. The body is the anchor that pulls us deep into the physical world and locates us in every moment of life. Through it we experience reality, we feel the intensity of the moment and experience the world in all its diversity. It is the body that conveys to us the liveliness of the world through its senses, sight, hearing, feeling, taste and smell, and gives us the opportunity to come into intensive contact with the environment. Every movement, every touch and every sensory perception brings us into the present, into the here and now. But this attachment to the body reaches even deeper. Science and neurology show us that the body is in constant dialogue with the brain and thus shapes our experience of joy, pain, and enthusiasm. The hormones and neurotransmitters that act in our body directly influence how we think and feel. In moments of joy, for example, our body releases serotonin and dopamine, which evokes a feeling of well-being in the mind. At the same time, stress and anxiety create a flood of cortisol and adrenaline that put our mind in a state of tension. In this way we see how the body can shape not only our external perception, but also our inner reality. It is as if the body is speaking a secret language that deeply affects our consciousness. This body language leads us to a deep connection between physical sensations and mental states. Sometimes it is said that the body is the gateway to consciousness. He is the mediator who links physical and mental experience and teaches us how to harmonize the two. But in this context, the question arises as to how far the power of the body reaches. Does it alone shape our experiences, or is it rather an expression, an instrument that serves the mind? In the next chapter we explore this perspective further and look at how the mind can create reality itself through thinking and inner beliefs, and how the interplay of body and mind brings our lives into a new balance. The spirit has an incredible power to shape the reality we experience. He is like an inner architect who lays the foundation of our perception through thoughts, beliefs, and ideas. At every moment, our thinking influences how we see the world and position ourselves in it. What we believe in becomes the filter through which we experience reality. This power of the mind is a fascinating tool that goes far beyond the body and gives us the opportunity to shape our lives on a deeper level. Studies show how strongly thoughts and beliefs characterize our experiences. When someone firmly believes that they are healthy and strong, it gives them an energy that is often reflected in their physical health. This interaction between mind and body creates a kind of resonance through which the body follows what the mind gives. However, the same principle also works in a negative sense. Fears, doubts, and negative beliefs can burden the body and even cause physical symptoms. Thus, physical complaints often arise from purely mental causes, an impressive example of the power of the mind. The imagination of the mind can create a reality that goes beyond physical limitations. The mind has the ability to think beyond what the body perceives as real and to penetrate into dimensions that are limited only by inner beliefs. How often do we hear of people who have overcome incredible challenges through their will and spiritual discipline? These stories are testimonies of the inexhaustible power of the mind to shape reality. The interaction between mind and body leads us to the realization that life is not shaped by external circumstances, but by the inner convictions that we cultivate. It is a powerful interplay in which the mind influences the body and gives it a direction. But it is also the task of the mind to grow beyond the physical limits and create a reality that is in harmony with our deepest desires. In the next chapter, we look at how body and mind are in a dynamic balance with each other, in which neither really dominates the other. Both are part of a holistic system that only unfolds its full potential in harmony. Body and mind are like two sides of a river that carries us through life, each has its own role, and yet both flow inseparably into each other. In every moment of your life, they act in interaction, react to each other and thus create a dynamic balance. It is as if body and mind are in a constant dance, the mind sets the direction, and the body sets it in motion. This symbiosis is what shapes and enriches our lives every second. The influence of the mind on the body is particularly impressive in psychosomatic phenomena. When the mind is restless, the body can react with headaches, stomach problems, or exhaustion. Thoughts and emotions are not fleeting phenomena, they settle in the body and leave traces. Fears and stress affect the nervous system, while positive thoughts and inner peace relax the body and give it new energy. In such moments, we see that the spirit not only creates thoughts, but also leaves its traces in physical reality. But this relationship is not a one-way street, the body also has the power to influence the mind. Mindful, deep breathing can calm the mind, and regular exercise gives the mind new clarity. Studies show that physical activity increases the production of happiness hormones such as endorphins, which raise the mind and create positive feelings. This feedback shows how body and mind support each other and how the state of one shapes the state of the other. When we understand that body and mind work together in this dynamic balance, we learn to treat both with respect and mindfulness. It is a harmonious interplay that fulfills our lives and gives us strength in times of challenge. This harmony is like an instrument that only plays its most beautiful melody when body and mind are in harmony and inspire each other. In the next chapter we turn to the role of the ego, which often disturbs the dialogue between body and mind as a false ruler. We will see how the ego exercises a sham control over us and makes us believe that we live in a constant contradiction between body and mind. The ego is like a quiet but constant companion in us, reminding us again and again that we have control over our lives, or at least the illusion of it. Often the ego takes the form of a false ruler who manifests himself as a voice in our head and convinces us that our value and self-image are based on external success and recognition. This voice separates body and mind, makes them become apparent opponents who fight for supremacy over our being. The ego feeds on comparisons, the search for confirmation and identification with the body. It fuels the desire to be stronger, more beautiful, more successful, but in this striving we often lose contact with our inner balance. Instead of experiencing us as a harmonious whole, the body begins to suffer under the pressure of the ego. Stress, self-doubt, and the constant need to live up to the expectations of others lead to deep unrest in the mind and tension in the body. This conflict leads us to a separation in which we define our identity through the outer shells, the body or the ego, instead of recognizing unity. By exercising control over our self-image, the ego confuses the true connection between body and mind and keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and inner resistance. The body becomes the projection screen of the fears and desires of the ego, and the mind gets lost in illusions and false ideals. This deception of control by the ego distracts us from recognizing the true interplay of body and mind and finding the harmony we long for. But the ego can serve as a teacher if we learn to understand its role and to observe it consciously without letting it control us. When we realize that the ego is only a part of our being, but not the true self, we can put it in its place and return the leadership to the mind, which wants to work in balance with the body. Exercises such as self-reflection, meditation, and mindfulness help us to unmask the ego in us and gently release its control. In the next chapter, we focus on the possibilities of raising the mind over the body and finding true freedom through conscious awareness. A freedom that exists independently of physical limitations and ego, giving us access to a new level of inner serenity. When we recognize the influence of the ego and set its limits, a space opens up that leads us to a new dimension of freedom. This freedom is created by the conscious elevation of the mind above the limits of the body, a state in which our consciousness takes control and we experience, regardless of the physical limitations of our body, what it means to be truly free. Through practices such as meditation and mindfulness, we enter this state. When we immerse ourselves in the silence of the mind, the needs, tensions, and desire of the body fade into the background. Our mind detaches itself from the physical sensations and opens up to a deep space of inner tranquility and vastness. This state can feel like coming home, a return to our true self, which exists beyond physicality. The masters of Zen often refer to this state as emptiness, in which the mind is pure and unlimited, free from the fleeting influences of the physical world. However, this freedom does not mean ignoring or denying the body. Rather, we learn to regard it for what it is, a tool that enables us to experience life without fully defining our identity. By consciously raising the mind over the body, we realize that we are not trapped in our feelings, thoughts, or pain. We are the observer, the consciousness that has experienced all this and yet remains untouched. The spirit is the silent witness who contemplates all these experiences lovingly without being bound by them. By experiencing this freedom of the mind, we enter into a new relationship with our body. We learn to accept the physical sensations and limitations without being trapped by them. The awareness that we are more than our body brings with it a deep serenity and inner strength. If we look at life from this perspective, we can face challenges with more calm and clarity because we know that our true self is not limited by external circumstances. In the next chapter, we will take a closer look at the harmony between body and mind and learn how this unity leads us to a fulfilled and balanced life. Because ultimately, true freedom consists not only in the overcoming of the body, but in the balance between the two, in a state in which body and mind act as unity and lead us to inner harmony. When the spirit rises above the limits of the body and both find unity, we experience a state of inner harmony in which body and mind support and strengthen each other. This harmony is like the interplay of two instruments in a perfectly tuned orchestra. The body provides the liveliness and energy, while the mind gives the direction and consciousness. Together they create a deep sense of balance and wholeness. In this state of harmony, we realize that the body is no longer just a physical shell, but an expression of the inner self. The way we treat our body, be it through exercise, nutrition, or conscious rest periods, becomes a form of self-respect and self-care. The body becomes a place where the mind comes to rest, a vessel through which we can experience the beauty of the physical world and pursue our spiritual goals. Every movement and every conscious breathing exercise brings us deeper into the awareness of the unity of body and mind. When the mind on the other hand acts in harmony with the body, we experience how positive thoughts and inner tranquility promote physical vitality. Mindful meditation and the practice of letting go help us to let the energy flow freely in the body. This balance strengthens our immune system, improves the body's healing ability and gives us a natural resistance to life's challenges. It creates a state of inner peace that affects all aspects of our lives and gives us a powerful serenity. A life that is lived out of the harmony of body and mind has a special quality. We experience a deep sense of fulfillment and inner peace. We are no longer trapped in constant conflicts, but experience life in its full depth. Body and mind support each other and create a space where we can consciously live and make decisions that serve both our physical and spiritual well-being. In the last chapter, we will bring these insights together and examine how we can gain true control over our lives from the balance of body and mind. Because ultimately the true power lies in accepting both aspects of our being and making it work in harmony. As we approach the end of our journey, it becomes clear that the question of control does not allow a simple answer. The harmony between body and mind is what allows us to have true control over our lives, a balance in which neither the body alone nor the mind alone rules, but both merge in a powerful unity. This realization leads us to a deeper understanding of what it really means to control our own life. The control we seek is not in the absolute dominance of one over the other, but in the conscious integration of both. Body and mind act like two wings of a bird, which only really let us fly when they are together, in balance, in motion. It is this balance that gives us inner freedom and enables us to shape life with clarity and serenity. We recognize that true control does not lie in repressing or overcoming one side, but in lovingly accepting and harmonizing both. This journey to the unity of body and mind is a continuous practice, a constant learning and balancing. Every thought, every decision, and every action is an opportunity to consciously shape this interaction and to walk our way out of a deep, inner center. If we maintain this balance, we learn that the external circumstances are losing their power over us. The world may confront us with challenges, but in the unity of body and mind we have the inner strength to meet them with confidence and resilience. At the end of this journey, we realize that true control is not in the exterior, but in our inner balance. It is an invitation to view life as a harmonious play between body and mind, as an experience in which we have the freedom to shape our existence consciously and in harmony with our inner self. The decision of who is really in control of your life is now up to you. With this realization, our exploration ends, but the path you continue begins only now. May you find the unity of body and mind and in it the true power to direct your life.